All right, let's jump into it. 11:20 on the 4th of December. So look, I'll start off with DXY because obviously, as pretty much every day I sort of say, this is the sort of driver. This is the thing that we want to sort of see, sort of obviously sort of show more of a direction. I mean, we've been no, show more of a direction. It's been on an absolute rip for a while here. We've broken the channel. We've done the retest of the underside. What we're looking for now is the lower low down here. And lower low with this as well. I mean, look, there's a couple of parts of this, if we sort of break it down, is that, when we opened up this week, it just opened up and ran. So there's no bottom wick on the weekly candle. If we have a quick look like this. Yeah. Um, so typically with all candles and that, you want to see, like, I suppose if we look at this here, we didn't get a little bottom wick over this one here, but generally speaking in that, it's a bit of a magnet with things. Like, so when you sort of, you open up in a candle, it doesn't matter what time frame it's on, if it's a lower time frame, higher time frame and that, it's generally a pretty decent sort of target that you can work with. To sort of say, okay, look, it puts in a bottom wick here. Look, it could put in the tiniest little bottom wick and then sort of reverse back up. But certainly, as we sort of have a look at a couple of these, we've got one over here, never had a bottom wick and that. So, I mean, again, partly for some of these exchanges, but as you can see, definitely in the majority of these things, even if they are just these tiny little sort of ones, it'll come back and sort of clip those things. Anyway, so that's what the sort of downside sort of means through there. That basically, look, it is a target. Well, this is an area in which we sort of thought, look, this is why we have it marked out through here. I do think this is a little bit of a head and shoulders kind of sort of setting up to play out with a bit of a crooked sort of neckline coming down here. So I'm not calling like, this kind of area here because obviously we sort of pierced through it. But this little area through here is something that that I've sort of called out previously as an area in which the market has sort of valued it. Obviously, we tried to get down, push underneath, now we're back up. So last night, sort of coming down into this area was going to be a bit of a struggle. You could tell that we did have jolts out last night, and that came in above expectations. I'm sort of very much a bit of a tinfoil hat with uh, the Fed numbers. I think a lot of them are a bit shifty from time to time, and what I mean. You're even hearing sort of reports because look, I could be sort of wrong on this and need to be corrected definitely, but through the jolts is actually a delayed period. So I'm just having a look on this, if there's any sort of a breakdown of it here. But it's actually a delayed period. So this is actually the jolts was reflecting the period in which they had the hurricanes and the storms, which is what they accounted for only putting in 12K in the NFP last month. So these numbers should be reflecting that period. So you only added 12 million jobs, yet you advertised above expectation at 7.74 million jobs. You know what I mean? It just seems sometimes it doesn't quite sort of add up with it all. But nevertheless, I mean, you got it. That's what I say. Like, whether you trust the numbers or not, you got to trade off what they give you. But what we can do is sort of unpack how it reacted. And where was the data? It was around here somewhere. Yeah, because obviously probably these gap up sort of periods here. Moving down, and then obviously, yeah, so data came out 2 o'clock, so in this period here. And again, this is what I've been saying, market knee-jerk reaction, it moves up stronger than expected. So, it's decent numbers and stronger than expected, and market just sells into it. It didn't last very long at all. A couple of attempts to move through and then boom, push down. Obviously, through the back end of the session, it sort of popped back up to the top side over here and that. But as that data was coming out, I mean, all these sort of bits of data, and this is what I was saying, like, start of the week, over the weekend, I was saying, look, to me, it's important to sort of see how is the market reacting to the positive, negative data, because all these bits of data that are coming out are still, on paper, definition, strong for US dollar. So any one of these things, I mean, look, JOLTS isn't a big market moving massive bit of data necessarily, but all these things are reasons that the market could go, yeah, okay, sweet, and they could build on all these bits of data. They're all pieces of the puzzle. You put them together. Well, it looks like a fairly strongish kind of sort of case for the US dollar, and maybe if the economy's so strong and they're advertising jobs and they're adding jobs, this is why NFP is going to be so important this week. If the economy's so strong, well, it can withstand not being cut on. So not, I mean, 25 base points seems to be the general sort of consensus. Just going to drag this one across here, but you know what I mean. If they decide to sort of that the economy is actually doing pretty well, maybe they'll test a hold, which would be bang rocket for the dollar, US dollar, and that'll be sort of moving up with it all. So, all these sort of bits of data that sort of point to the direction of Fed may actually maybe be more in the camp of maybe more of a hold, opposed to a 25 base point cut, are reasons that you could see the dollar be bought up. But the market is selling into it each time, and as you can see, it was very quick. It sold into it here. What was the data on Monday? Well, technically Tuesday morning was the ISM data. So this one here, ISM data, stronger than expected. Market moves up, market sells into it. So you start to see a bit of a theme, same sort of thing that we had up over the top over here. Look, it won't necessarily, it doesn't mean it's definitely bang, this is it, it's cooling down, but until you get sort of like, substantial wording from the Fed that, these things are going to sort of change, it seems like the market, good or bad news, they sell into it. So good news, it'll knee-jerk reaction, they'll sell into it. What happens when they get bad news? If they're already happy to sell into it when they get the good news, bad news should, go and really sort of pile it down. So, yeah, I think, certainly it's not giving up easily, but we know this is what DXY does. It sort of looks like it. Look, it could come down here and they just have one last hurrah and absolutely stop everybody out up into this area over here, 108 again, and then sort of succumb and sort of come to the downside over here. But yeah, for the time being, still really, I mean, look, it's just very flat. So I think sort of potentially we've got a little bit of sort of downside coming, but it's pretty clear cut where we need it, where we put that little arrow yesterday, break below here, put in that bottom wick, see what happens at this area, because this obviously, as you can see, will be a little bit of a horizontal through this period here as well. So at best in that, you'd probably be looking for, say, maybe a little bit of a breakdown to here. Then you probably see a little bit of a push up. Whoops, not that one, this one here. You push up, and that's the direction that you want to see. You want to see it most likely, obviously this is a support. I mean, we can see, support. Got Aussie GDP coming out right now, so I will be back in a second. But this is the idea that sort of like, you get that break, comes down here, find support, previous areas where the buyers have been, push back up. You want to see that this area has now been like, oh, we tried to buy it. Now we want to get out, and then bang, push down like that. All right, back in 2 seconds because we've got Aussie GDP coming out. We'll see how Aussie may sort of hold up on this. And Aussie GDP out, and Aussie doing what Aussie does, disappoints. Aussie getting smacked. Let's have a quick look at this one here. Boom. What an absolute fucking shit show Aussie is. Honestly. Possibly a bit of an area through here. Just to build some levels as to where this may sort of drop down to. Look, Aussie, I mean, there's not too much you can say about it. It's sort of like, it's good news, it doesn't do anything. Bad news, it gets smacked. All you can sort of see is it's each time it comes down here, it gets bought back up, but this won't last forever. Eventually market's just going to go look at, they're going to realize that, they're just not going to push it back up. So, let's see what happens here. End of the day, we're at the mercy of what's going to happen with US dollar. So if we do see that sort of sell off on US dollar, you're going to see Aussie possibly sort of appreciate a little bit better. But as you can see last night on that data, US data, Aussie got smacked. Pretty quick sort of little reversal back up to the top there. And now we've got our own set of problems sort of on the home front. Weak GDP comes in 0.2% last print, 0.5% expected, 0.3. So up on last, but still low and also um, below expectation. So the idea being that, oh, yeah, maybe we're going to have some sort of decent data that's going to hold Aussie up a little bit. Well, joke's on you. No, Aussie's basically a piece of shit. It just cannot catch a break. I mean, you've got equity markets at, all-time highs. Copper had a big push overnight, so I'll get to copper in a moment. That was a big push up there. It's just what is it going to take for Aussie to really sort of kick into gear? I guess possibly not possibly, definitely something weighing on it is the yuan. So if we have a look at the yuan at the same time, yuan pushing up into this high time zone, high time frame resistance. This is not helping Aussie because China's in such turmoil just because sort of like, they're getting a little bit scared about sort of what Trump's doing with the tariffs and that they think that sort of, depreciating the yuan's going to sort of help offset a little bit of these tariffs. Well, we'll have to wait and see, but yeah, just going to manage a few positions. Pop that. All right, so let's just keep plugging along with the stuff here. So back on DXY, which chart we're on this one over here. Yeah, so I mean, look, the levels are pretty clear cut where you want to see it sort of move down. Look, it's all negated. If you get back up above this area, I think this has put in enough of a little bit of a spurt high that this will be an area to negate it. You can have, obviously, these are chopped things. It's not like one, except for this high up the top over here coming down. But these things can chop around a little bit. But so technically, I guess, above the head would fully negate it. But for me, I think this is the kind of area, if you go above 106.80 here on this chart, I think that that's pretty much going to negate that. And we're just going to see another bigger drive up past 108 with US dollar. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, look, NFP is going to be the driver of everything. So we'll sort of see how that sort of plays out. Gold, still really just not doing anything, is it? It's just really just drifting sideways. But the dips are being bought up. We saw that little smackdown from data last night. Sorry, just got to manage these positions for. Yeah, so moving along, we've got yeah, as I said, look, this is what it's just been doing time and time again. Sort of builds this little, even sort of from down here as well, but certainly in this area, it's just fanning really. I would say it's getting pretty close to a make or break kind of thing here. Look, yes, it's in this little box, so we could just say it's the box for it all there. But you got to think, even if you're just looking at it structurally, you go up here, you break down, test the underside, break down, test the underside. What happens when you break down here, test the underside? You run out of space. Basically, it just rolls over and sort of will be sort of moving down. So that's still the move from down here. I think upside for the time being things look pretty limited with it all. But of course, I think NFP is going to be the one that sort of gets this thing moving. Silver looking a little bit better. It's actually sort of consolidating up near the highs around that sort of 3,100. We're seeing a little bit of a dip down early, sort of in the session now. But of course, in the next sort of hour or so, we'll probably get a bit of volume in and a bit of direction. Look, this was the trade, obviously moving back up towards this top area over here. This is going to be an issue 3150, not that one, this one over here. This is going to be an issue, top of this box over here. So I do expect a little bit of a pushback from this 3150 area. Maybe we sort of come back and test the top side of this little consolidation as we've got it sort of marked out through here. We can see, I think, on the higher time frame, you could probably see a little bit more relevance of this zone. Obviously, it's starting to wick down, but it is, for the most part, holding up around here. So, look, it's a fairly low, long wick down to the bottom side there. So, underneath 3070, you could say that, okay, this area is kind of rejected and failed. We sort of look down back below sort of 3050 or so to sort of see what happens down here. Alternatively, we see a kick on. It is consolidating the highs. They're not giving back much at the moment. It has tried to push down twice, and obviously markets just said, yep, sweet, I'll buy that, and they've pulled it up. But you want to see continued. It's all very well to buy it here and sell it here. You want to see that they want to buy it here and then sell it here. 3150 is going to be a big level. As you can see, it's a big range coming through here. We had the nice wedge break. This little wedge break probably gives us a bit of a price target up around that zone as well. Let's just drag one of these. Thank you for here to here. That's pretty much your sort of measured move with that. And there's your break level. And as you can see, perfectly lines up as well for that wedge break. So I would say 3150 is definitely your sort of target in the short term. I think it could almost sort of be a bit of a magnet here because we have sort of come back up. Still, we are in the overbought territory, but of course, things can stay in overbought for a long time as well. We're not actually rolling over as of yet. So let's see what happens in the next hour or so. But 3150 looks like an area to get a bit of a touch up. As to how deep this comes, could be coming back down here. So I think sort of take some sort of positions off into this 3150. We do know that sort of, as I said, if we jump onto this higher time frame, that's the big area of this little consolidation of this pullback here. So as I said, above 3150, 3160, whatever, a couple of points in change, that does open you up for a move up to around that 33. The double bottom measured move takes you to 33. Body fill is also a reasonable target at 33.69 or 33.70 and change. So we'll see how that one goes. Flip it across back onto the Aussie. As we see, this just continues to disappoint. I think this is very much in danger of absolutely just getting absolutely smashed back down to these wicks over here, 35, 63 50s. It's just had so many attempts and so many tries to hold up here. You can see it's sort of bouncing, and even this one just unable to get back up there. It's strong US dollar and now weak on the home front as well. Yeah, I mean, there was some sort of garbage going on in South Korea. Not that it really affects anything, but as we know, market loves as a pastime to sell Aussie, and so it'll take any excuse to sort of go like, oh, that's a bit of risk off. I mean, they declared martial law for like 5 minutes, and then somebody sort of like stepped in and they sorry, just got DXY. Okay, that's a big gap up on DXY. So this is, I think this is maybe a sort of a nail in the coffin for Aussie moving through here. Doesn't look like a massive one on this, but if we get down onto a lower time frame, you can see that's a decent sort of little gap up here. So let's see how the market reacts to that. As I said, this is that TVC, gives you a little bit of an insight into let's just drag this across here, into where this may be opening up. Trading view seems to be a little bit shoddy. Oh well. Anyway, so it's a fairly decent sort of gap up there, about 10 points or so. See if this earnings closes this gap in the next 15 minutes or so, and we'll go from there. So flip across, got copper. Copper hit price target overnight. So this was the area we were sort of looking at. Look, it's not a surprise that it got knocked back from here, and this is what I've been saying with copper. It's heartache, doing nothing, and then bang, spike up. Price target was put here because of these lows down over here. As we know, this is after the Trump election, and then a little spike back up over here, and then by the absolute bloodbath down to the bottom side here. So this pivot area over here, obviously, thought it might have come a little bit sooner, but as you can see, came in as we sort of thought it would be, and market said, yep, that's enough for us. Boom, let's get out. The idea behind these ones is like, look, people have bought this up. That's fine. People bought it here again. They got wiped out here. Once it comes back up here, they're just like, oh, look, I got a chance to get out for zero. That's fine. I'll take it. And bang, they sell it down again. They close their positions, which adds to the selling and knocks it back down. If you push back up here, and this is why it can take two or three attempts to go through, is because, there's only so many people. Not everybody's trying to do that. And if the market keeps buying up these dips, eventually the people that are looking to just sort of close out or get out of these sort of positions, they're not there. And then you'll get the next lots to move up over here. So, look, I think it's constructive. It did obviously hit our price target and reject, so it's not any sort of shocker with that. Back into the range a little bit. This needs to really sort of hold around this top end of the range over here. You get below sort of 416, then it kind of negates this whole thing, and we're looking at one of these kind of moves almost. A quick up, quick back down. But if we can sort of consolidate this area through here and make a tighter little range, this kind of thing through here, little breakout box. If it can consolidate this kind of range and then have another attempt up, I'd say that's a very bullish kind of sort of level, sort of setup for it. It won't sort of go probably next candle, but you know, if it can sort of hold through here through the next session or so, as I said, fail back down here and really it's just back on with the grind and almost just like fake breakdown, fake break up, back into the grind. China, coming into that area, look, we sort of zoomed it across. These are those previous highs from July when it got absolutely hammered. And look at this, that is a V-shaped recovery. Boom, boom, straight back up. So, question now is that enough for them? Look, you can see initially it definitely was. They said, look, you know, we're taking out the highs, take the profit boom. Didn't really stop the market too much, and as you can see, it's only a very minimal pullback, and they're running at it again. If this goes through for those highs, I think we're going to be moving up to mid 30s, mid 730s. This is going to hurt Aussie. This is going to be the thing that gets Aussie underneath 64. It's not looking good there. All right, and I think that's pretty much it for the charts. Quick little flick over. News-wise, where we are, what day is it? It's Wednesday, isn't it? GDP, we saw that was an absolute shocker for Aussie, and yeah, not really. Bunch of PMIs and that coming out this afternoon. ADP tonight, expected a little bit of a tick down, but yeah, as we know, we don't really sort of trust the data from the Fed at the moment. So, you know, maybe this will come in at 300 or something. All right, anyway, that's it for me.